Your countdown sucked.
Well, you're live now.
Oh, I am live?
The countdown sucked. So.
Okay. All right.
You don't even know if they can see it. How do you know?
I don't know. You were like 3, 2, 1.
On our new platform, and Ben thinks it sucks apparently. So now that you all know that, who are watching us live, welcome. Ben, you want to do the intro?
Yeah. Well, welcome everyone to WCM Fireside Chats. We're trying a new platform this week, and just hoping that it works really well. So far, all things are going pretty good. So we have a couple guests with us this week. That are probably pretty familiar to most of our audience. Jennifer Mercer from Director of Development for Care Camps, which helps fund specific oncology camps that help kids and families going through kids with cancer and their families kind of going through all that together. And so we're excited to have her on. And we also have Cyndy. Oh man, I'm gonna murder the last name, Cyndy. I'm sorry. It's Cyndy Zbierski. Oh yeah.
I don't know. We got an echo coming from your mic though, Ben.
Oh, from my mic? Okay.
Yeah, you gotta
and she's the chairman of the ARVC Foundation, the National Association of RV Parks and Campgrounds. So we're just going to talk a little bit today about the work that those groups do for in the fields that they work in. So welcome everyone. I know I murdered the introduction. So
it's all right. So just bear with us, everybody. This is a new platform. We're trying this out. Ben and I decided to do this last night. Actually, I decided to do it and kind of talked Ben into it last night. So we kind of know a little bit about the platform, but there's bound to be some bugs and things like that. But we are broadcasting across a bunch of Facebook pages. If you are watching us on Facebook, this is very interactive, and so the link that's in your post above that says to go register, you can do that. You don't have to download software. It's super easy with your Facebook account. You can log in and you can chat with us. We're going to do Q&A polls, all that kind of stuff. We're going to bring you guys on to be a part of the show if you want to be. So it's much, much easier than Zoom if you want to participate that way with us. So let's go, Ben. What do we got?
Yeah, so I guess, maybe we could just have each of the guests just kind of talk a little bit about the work that they've been doing over the last year or so. I guess maybe we'll start with Jennifer. I guess, Jennifer, you're newer, I guess. You've been with Care Camps for about a year now, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just past a year with Care Camps, got started and was out getting to meet everybody in the industry, and have been wanting to connect more with ARVC, so this is perfect. This is like, thank you for arranging this great Zoom call for this great call. We're big fans of what they do for the campground owners. So yeah, with Care Camps about a year ago, I am blessed to have the most amazing job in the world. I get to help children going through the hardest time of their life find a little joy and hope again through the outdoors. So Care Camps helps fund 135 different special oncology camps all across the United States and Canada. And we help kids in every single community where our campgrounds are, where our RV businesses are. And we're really proud to say that these kids love to say Care Camps is better than Disneyland. It's a blast for the kids, but they leave there with this amazing sense of joy and hope that, when you're going through cancer, even as a grown-up, it's pretty awful. But for a child, it's a little unimaginable. And so we're here to help support those kids and their families and make their lives a little better, turn things around for them. So.
Yeah. And I guess, Cyndy, I guess you're chairman of the ARVC Foundation, and you guys do a lot of different things. I know some of the major stuff we hear about is the disaster relief, and then you guys also do a lot of the educational stuff. I guess just tell us a little bit about what the ARVC Foundation does for campground owners.
Thank you, Ben. And you didn't. It's Zbierski. It flows right off of one's tongue. So I have been with the ARVC Foundation for 3 years now. This is my second year as chair, and actually tomorrow is our annual meeting, so there will be an election of officers for going forward. But I look forward to continuing in some role with the ARVC Foundation. We absolutely are about helping those in the outdoor hospitality industry. with their needs, whether that be for scholarships to gain as much education about the industry as they need to have for owners, operators, or employees, or prospective employees. And then the other arm is the disaster leave that began in 2005 after Katrina, when it was obvious that campgrounds and RV parks, when things happen, they need that immediate funds to help them over that first initial few weeks, to find out, what's going to happen to our infrastructure, to our properties when damage happens. So those are the two main pieces. In October of 2019, Ben, the foundation, actually gave education back to ARVC. With the staff on board at ARVC, it was decided that someone's sad. It was decided that they were the best ones going forward to be able to take on all that meant for education. So we have not stepped back, but our education role is now supporting through scholarship.
Awesome. So I know I've been working with, we have a little bit of an echo here. I'm not sure if you guys can hear it or it's just me, but we have been working with care camps for a long time. At least I have. I don't know, 2010, 11 was my first get together with care camps. And we actually went, who was chairman back there? I think Jerry Dale from the Manchester KOA was the chairman of KOA care camps back then. And we actually worked for Jerry, went around to some of the care camps and did some videos and things like that for you guys. And they actually played it at convention one year. I don't know what year this was, maybe 2013, something like that. So I'm very familiar with the care camps. I've been to a lot of them, seeing the good work that they do, the fun that the kids have and all that kind of stuff. And some of that stuff, like, I want to go to. Like, they had zip lines, rock climbing walls, and all kinds of cool things that, like, I feel like is missing from my life. So, yeah, tell us a little about the camp experience and what these kids actually get to enjoy, Jennifer.
So yeah, it's been really fun to talk with the kids and learn about what it is they love about camp so much. And I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, there are just so many great activities that they get to do. Some of these kids are, they're facing some pretty tough obstacles. They may have osteosarcoma and had an arm or a leg amputated, and they're not able to go for hikes as easily. And so they're doing piggyback hikes. But they have all sorts of amazing things, campfire sing-alongs and talent shows, and they're out canoeing and rafting, and they have the slip and slide set up at the camps. Some of the camps are dealing with kids that are a lot more medically, they require a lot more medical intervention, and so there's a lot more on-site medical for those kids. And some kids are in remission and they're able to do most of the things other kids would be able to do. The main thing I think the kids tell me about that they love so much about camp is the fact that they get to connect with other kids who truly understand exactly what they're going through. In fact, most of the camp counselors are former cancer survivors themselves that have walked through this journey. And in fact, a lot of them were campers at the camps and have come back as camp counselors, which is pretty amazing. But the kids really, they leave there with a support system. It's a little bit like a Make-A-Wish experience for them. They get to experience this fun. I mean, they forget about the chemo and the radiation and all the hard stuff that they're going through, and they can just be a kid again and really enjoy their lives. And at the end, they have this amazing group of friends that they get to take with them that helps them get through all the hard times to come. And right now with COVID, most of these kids are in lockdown. They're in quarantine and have been since at least March. And the loneliness and the sense of isolation these kids are feeling is crazy. But it's their camp connections that are oftentimes the one thing that's keeping them sane during the hard times.
Yeah, that's the one thing that struck me when I went to the camps was that, I mean, I guess there's this coming from the outside before I knew anything about care camps, before I knew anything about charities that help kids with cancer, anything like that. There was just kind of the assumption that the kids would go there and they'd get together, but like they had cancer because they really do all of these things and all these activities and all the things that you're seeing. And what you're saying is true. Like it's literally for 1 week out of the year. I think a kid told me this on video when we were doing that. And 1 week out of the year, cancer doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And that's probably the most powerful thing that stuck with me through the whole thing.
Yeah. Parents say they said that they sent their sick kid to camp and got back their child. Their child comes back with a smile on their face, and they remember what it's like to laugh. And it's just, I think we can't underestimate the power of emotional healing along a journey when you're dealing with physical illness. Hospitals are really doing a great job of helping heal the physical disease, but these kids are leaving the hospital with such an emotional burden, fear, anger. A lot of these kids feel like they've destroyed their family's life because most of their parents do end up divorced. The pressures of cancer in one of your kids is just, as you can imagine, just a really heartbreaking challenge for these parents. And the kids feel responsible for that, which is, I think that was the hardest thing for me to understand, is for a child to have that sense of responsibility for something that's so out of their control. So for care camps, we're able to help these kids navigate those challenges and come out smiling on the other side, which is really amazing.
And I know one of the other things that kind of confused me when I first came into it was back then, obviously, it was called KOA Care Camps, but I actually, for 30 seconds before I even knew anything about the organization, right, I thought that these were actually held at KOA campgrounds. So,
Yeah.
so I've obviously learned that they aren't, and that these are, while you do a lot of support for these camps, there are other organizations that do support them as well. A lot of them are independent camps scheduled across, spread out across different states and stuff like that. So how does KOA Care Camps, or sorry, Care Camps now, I'm going to forever call that, I'm sorry.
Stop.
It was
I
almost
just beat you with a stick.
That's fine. It might take that. So how does the camp get to the point where Care Camp steps in and starts to fund them? And then what do you do in combination with other organizations to help make sure this is a success?
That's a super great question. So just a quick piece of background. KOA campground owners, a group of the actual campground owners themselves, are who founded Care Camps. And back when they first started it, it was just called Care Camps. Somewhere along the way, KOA got added to the name because it was primarily just KOA campground owners funding the charity. But I guess about 7 or 8 years ago, Jim Rogers, when he was still president of KOA, he said this cause is bigger than just one company because we've not been able to fund the needs for these camps. I mean, we have more and more children that need this support. And he said this is bigger than just KOA, and he wanted to start seeing other campgrounds and other outdoors businesses, RV businesses support Care Camps, hence the name change. So we just call it Care Camps now, and we have the support of campgrounds all over the nation, both KOA and independent campgrounds as well. So that's a real blessing. The way that we get involved with the oncology camps is we have an organization called COCA that we partner with. They're like a sister organization. They actually do certifications for the camps to make sure that the camps have all the medical treatments necessary that these kids really need, along with the right levels of counseling, a safe environment. The money is going where it's supposed to be going. And once they're certified with COCA, they can apply for a grant through Care Camps. So Care Camps, for most of these camps, is one of their largest supporters, if not their largest. So we help keep a lot of these camps alive across the country. It's pretty fun.
Awesome. So I know we're going to get to you, Cyndy. I promise. I'm just trying to do care. I called it KOA Care Camps again. I'm never going to quit it. We're trying to get Care Camps out of the way first. But Jennifer, you were mentioning that you wanted to connect with Arthur, but also you probably want to connect with Kara, who actually works for CCRVC, which is the National Association of Campgrounds in Canada. So maybe you guys tell her, Jennifer, do you do anything with Care Camps in Canada right now? I'm sure Kara's going to have questions for you, but.
Yeah, so Care Camps does have camps. We have a camp in every province in Canada. To be honest, Canada is the area that we struggle with the most on getting funding. So the United States is actually funding all of the Canadian camps for the most part. So we would love to get some of our Canadian campground friends involved in supporting Care Camps. And that just looks like doing fundraisers with your campers. It's a blast. Your campers love it. It's really great for the campground staff. builds loyalty and fun with campground staff, and we'd love to have you guys on board.
Yeah, I am absolutely interested in having more conversations about it. We do a couple of, well, pre-COVID, a couple of events every year and partner in the past with Make-A-Wish Foundation and some other groups to do some pretty great work. But absolutely, I'm very interested in having conversations about adding care camps in. I just was talking with a journalist at RV Lifestyle Magazine who had done a story. So yeah, we should have some more conversations about it, Jennifer, for sure. I'm excited for that.
So, Ben, do you have any questions for Jennifer?
Yeah, I guess we should let Cyndy talk a little bit. Just talk a little bit about our.
Sure, I didn't want to cut you out of there and push you to the side because you usually have a list that we got to get to.
So no, I guess Cyndy, just tell us a little bit. So just tell us a little bit about the work you guys have been doing here recently.
Very good. Well, it's been difficult because with not being able to be together. There is a group of 7 of us currently as board of trustees for the ARVC Foundation, and usually at least a minimum of 2 times a year we're able to share at least one full day in a room just brainstorming what we want to be able to do for people. And so that's a hard piece. So we're doing our best with our every other month phone call meetings and doing those pieces, but it is it's felt. So we know that with our executive director Paula Horowitz, everything is ready when a disaster application might come in, and all of those pieces are there. But as far as and hopefully starting with tomorrow's meeting being our annual meeting, we'll have more than that 1 hour on Zoom together. We'll have a few hours to talk about those new initiatives we want to start working on. Who do we want to be as a foundation as far as what can we add? I always feel I am a steward of the funds that have been raised over these decades by other trustees, and we take that very seriously to make sure that our investments accounts are safe and ready for that time when they are needed by either scholarship recipients or grants. And what will those new initiatives be? Who do we want to be funding? Are there other 501c3s out there that need grants to bring education to people in our industry? What do we need to do? As far as disaster relief, we recently in a meeting we talked about, those first few days after something happens, whether it's a natural disaster or what it might be at a campground, they're not checking their email to see, or thinking maybe top of mind, I need to contact ARVC Foundation to see if what we can do for them. So we're going to be talking what we can do pre-events to make sure that ARVC Foundation is top of mind between state executive directors and individual campgrounds. So when, God forbid, something does happen, they know who to reach out to. So we are going to be working on that within our group to make sure, what can we do prior to events and then post events? How can we make sure to connect with those people just to let them know, we're sorry that you went through this. What can we do? If there's a trustee in the area, perhaps we can get that trustee on site to help in some way. So we will do that. Many of our trustees currently are from East Coast, but we do have trustees on the West Coast, and that's a conversation always as to, who would like to join us as far as who is the ARVC Foundation and perhaps be a trustee going forward.
So Cyndy, were you involved in any of the hurricanes and things that happened earlier this year?
We did, and there was outreach to those campgrounds. Luckily, with the help of ARVC and their marketing team, we are able to put our notices and our publications just to those areas affected, so we can reach out and say, is there need? We're here for you if you need us. So with the help of the ARVC marketing, we're able to do that. and we have not had a major influx of grant applications. So we take that as
A good sign.
there was those catastrophic event. However, they were able to sustain themselves at that time.
Which is good. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. How big is the disaster relief program, I guess?
Currently, with the app, I'm not sure how you're asking how big it is as far as financially or what we're able to help with. Right now, the current application has 3 different pieces, and a campground could request up to a $5,000 grant. And that is another change that's happened in the last few years. Previous, it was a loan program, and that is currently not so. The trustees, because my past trustees in the decades before were such wonderful stewards of these funds, we are able to give grants now and not be a loan program. So that is a huge change, and we feel very good about it. And a little story on that, Ben, is we were able to give a grant about 18 months ago to a campground, and then about 12 months later, we are contacted and said, you were able to help us, now here is our donation to help the next person. And we see that with scholarship as well. I've firsthand, as I go around at conference, if we're doing an event at conference, and to be handed an envelope and say, thank you for giving us that tuition when we weren't able to go to the national school with our own funds because we had just started out. Thank you for giving that to us. Here, we'd like to give back.
How many people do you think you sent to the national school every year?
Usually in the past 4 years, Brian, if there were 2 sessions, we could send between 8 and 10 people to national school each year.
Nice. Okay.
So.
Ben, you got any questions?
Yeah, I guess, Jennifer, one of the things I did want to ask was, just give us a little breakdown of how COVID has impacted KOA care camps. And I know, I imagine the camps had to do things differently this year due to COVID. And I know at least one of the wildfires severely damaged one of the parks you work with, right?
Yeah, it's definitely been a challenging year. Doesn't quite cover it for care camps. We lost all 3 of our major fundraisers that comprise about 50% of our funding for camps across the nation. And then we lost one of our signature camps. It was completely destroyed in the California wildfires. And this is Camp Okaizu is an amazing camp they do a ton of the research on the emotional needs of these kids. There's so much known now about the physical healing process, but the emotional healing process afterwards has not been well researched and documented. And so this camp has been leading the charge on doing a lot of that research. And so it's been pretty well wiped off the map. They're still going to exist, so they'll be renting other summer camp facilities and continuing on. They did year-round programming. They were one of our camps that continue to offer services year-round to the kids. So they're going to continue on, just like the rest of our camps have during COVID. So basically all of our care camps across the nation realized that when COVID hit, this was not only going to be a challenging time for these kids, but it was going to be worse than normal. Most of these kids, the one thing that they had to look forward to, the best week of their entire year, like you said, was camp. And these kids are immunocompromised, and so camp couldn't continue the way it normally did. So what our camp directors did is all came together. This amazing group of around 150 folks came together and brainstormed and some just really fun activities to keep the kids engaged and connected with one another. So they did virtual camps, but they coupled those virtual camps with these amazing camp in a box experiences. You'd see these big boxes coming in the mail. And these boxes were filled with all sorts of activities that tied in with their virtual camp. So the kids would have a photo contest, and every day they'd have to go outside into the outdoors and enjoy the outdoors, and come back and share their photo from the day that they got. They did scavenger hunts and came back together with their scavenger hunts. They did candy sushi. That was probably my favorite. That was pretty cool. Nothing to do with the outdoors. It was just really cool. Virtual s'mores in people's microwaves. They did microwave s'mores with all the kids together, which was pretty cute. They did Zoom hikes where they had the kids take their phones out and do Zoom on a hike. They just really got creative. They did family camps utilizing the camp facilities that had already been rented. I mean, all of the expenses for these camps, for the most part, were already locked in. The staffing, the rental of their camps, their insurance, all that kind of stuff couldn't be changed. So a lot of the camps used their cabin facilities for little mini vacations for the families, which was really cool. So they had a COVID-safe little family retreat for a couple of days. And then they'd sterilize the cabins and allow the next family to come in. And then, of course, the camp counselor is an essential part of the experience for these kids. And so they did cabin chats via Zoom with just 2, 3, 4 kids and the counselor, where they got a chance to laugh together and really build a relationship, but also talk about the hard stuff that these kids are going through and really allow them to process and vent and connect with each other. And the goal was to keep these kids connected throughout the rest of the year, because we know for all of us, we're all tired of COVID restrictions, right? But for these kids, they're locked in their house. They didn't get to go back to school. They're really struggling, and so they really wanted to offer something that would keep those kids connected for the rest of the year with each other and help them get through this.
Yeah, it puts some perspective on it, right? When we're complaining that we're locked down.
Oh yeah, it's such a different experience. We have one father that I spoke to on the phone the other day that they had diagnosed his son with COVID prematurely. They hadn't gotten the test back, but they assumed it was COVID, and it turned out it was actually cancer. And so, this is affecting families in so many different ways that you would never expect. But Care Camps is here to try and help these families navigate and get through the hard stuff. And we're trying to be the light at the end of the tunnel for these kids, right?
Yep.
So, yeah. But we need your help.
I guess, and you're still planning to do an auction during the KOA conference, correct?
We will be doing, we're going to be doing an online event. It's going to coincide with the KOA auction, just because that's our KOA has been our largest supporter every year, but it's going to be open to the entire industry, so other campgrounds, the RV industry. So we're going to have an amazing auction lineup and an opportunity just to give. If a campground or an RV business has been blessed this year and they feel like they want to have a chance to give back, we're going to have an opportunity for Raise the Paddle and a give back. We'll also have some fun entertainment. We're going to have a live action artist completing a painting just during the event. It's only 30 minutes, so it's going to be a super fast event. Let's be honest, we all get tired of sitting on computers all day, right?
Well, that and some of those auctions, never KOAs, but some of those auctions go for like 4 hours. We got like 30 different bottles of wine. Like, I'm not going to name anybody, but Quiggle knows a couple I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, I've been to one that had 78 auction items. It took like 4 hours. It was painful. Yeah, no. We're going to keep it short, sweet. We're going to make it super fun. So we've got some great entertainment scattered throughout, and it's going to be a great event. It'll be one great way to be able to support Care Camps. So that'll be a lot of fun. And it'll be on the last day of their event.
Keeping with it, go ahead, Ben. Sorry. Go ahead.
I always love the auctions. They're a lot of fun. And Cyndy, I know you're going to be doing an auction too, correct? At the ARVC conference?
Yes, we are. We are going to be having an online auction. We've moved it online from November 2nd through the 5th. Right now, it'll be on the 32 auction site. It is not live yet. We will be making sure everyone has a link to that. We have things from a week stay in Hawaii to cool tech things to stays at campgrounds to, oh wait, I just happen to have a ladies coach watch.
You just happen to have that sitting there right under your
This
desk.
is one of
Amazing.
the items that will be sent to a winning bidder. So we are looking forward to raising funds through that piece. It'll be a different animal. But we have decided to do it during that week of OHCE. So we'll hopefully be tagging along for everyone to find us. Also during that week, we'll be kicking off our Giving Tuesday campaign. As you know, that's a global awareness event that we have been working with for the last 3 years and has been wonderfully helpful to support our funds. And that will be kickoff on that Tuesday and going through the month. So that is another important piece to the ARVC Foundation. I need to give a shout out to ARVC 20 Group 4, Joe Moore, reminded us that they are just absolutely so gracious annually to make sure that a student can go to that National School of Campground Management. So thank you again to ARVC 20 Group 4. And the other piece too, along with that, if I may, before I forget, is we're also, we've partnered with Amazon Smile, because everyone during this time, we don't go to a mall anymore for the most part here. I'm in the Northeast. On occasion, if someone has to, but that Amazon Smile, you're able to sign up, and small portions go to the ARVC Foundation. And that is another key point for that. And then we have just wonderful donators that monthly give to foundation. They go to the arvc.org site, they go to the foundation page, and there's a quick link there, and people are able to give monthly or just a one-time donation, and that they can specify whether they would like it to go to disaster relief or scholarship or to the general fund as we see as we need to use those. But this year we had deemed as a year for building, and then COVID came. So we have we've been just being very careful, watching our funds. In the investment world is what it is, but we are making sure that we are in a good position for when help is needed, we will be there.
So one thing I just want to mention real quick, you mentioned the Amazon Smile. I know KOA Care Camp is part of that too. That's been for a number of years. For those of you who don't know, it basically is the layer that sits on top of Amazon. So you go to smile.amazon.com, choose what charity you want to donate to, and I think there's a 1% of your purchase goes to the charity that you choose. So it's a really good program. Nothing different for you, nothing more expensive. You just shop your Amazon like normal.
Exactly. It's been a major source of funding for care camps as well, and we'd love to have more campgrounds joining care camps on Amazon Smile as well.
Ben, you're muted. You got anything?
Yep. So I guess, Kara, you were going to talk a little bit, I think, about some of the stuff CCRV does, right?
Yeah, well, I think we're seeing similar sort of initiatives kind of come together here on CCRVC's part. Kind of obviously we're not in the same to the same point that ARVC is in terms of having the established foundation and having that run on its own, but we do specifically partner annually. We do some camping celebration weeks every year, one in the spring, one in the fall. This year, our spring event was unfortunately canceled, but we had a really great program set up with March of Dimes Canada. They have a great initiative called Campers Helping Campers, and do some similar work to what Care Camps does. They help send kids and families who have illness and disability and accessibility issues go get out into campgrounds and experience camping. We had several hundred campgrounds across the country signed up to contribute to that fundraising program, where they would sell bracelets and other branded items in their retail spaces, and then host fun specific events on our kind of flagship evening. And then, yeah, all of that stuff was social media tracked and hashtagged and all of those things. So we were really, really excited for that, and it was set to take place the third week of May. So unfortunately, a lot of our campgrounds here were still closed, still mandated closed at that time. We had to cancel that event, which was really disappointing, I think, both for us and for March of Dimes, for Campers Helping Campers specifically. In the past, we had been partnered for several years with Make-A-Wish Canada. Actually, when I was a campground owner, I was the top fundraiser every year. So I personally have a lot of great connection to it and really love the programming. We each year kind of had a different initiative. I think in 2018, we actually bought an RV with the funds for a family whose son was going through cancer treatments and things at the time. So, each year we were finding a focus, something to focus on, and really direct as much energy to fundraising specifically for that through our membership base, which, obviously we couldn't do without those campgrounds. So yeah, I'm excited to grow those events and kind of continue. I'm hopeful now that, campgrounds are operational and things, we can kind of get back to normal in the spring and hopefully also really rely on campgrounds and how successful a lot of their 2020 seasons were. I think a lot of them are in a great position to and very generously willing to offer support, which we're thankful for sure.
What always blows me away during times like this is the amount of people that will give, even when they're struggling a little bit. I think we've seen a lot of campgrounds, even though they had COVID restrictions, they're still doing charitable work. Maybe not necessarily with care camps, although I have seen some doing stuff for care camps, I think, and but for other organizations too. So it's always great to see them still being able to host their normal events and fundraise for the charitable groups that need the funding to help support the people they support. So that's been great to see industry wide. So I guess Jennifer, what does 2021 look like for care camps? What are your focuses going into the new year? Are you hoping to be able to are the camps looking to be able to open, or are they still kind of in a limbo right now?
Well, obviously, we don't know enough yet to know the answer to that, but all the camps are still definitely hoping to open and are working on plans for that. And as soon as camp season ends for 2020, there are still a lot of our camps operate year-round, but the ones that just do a one-time event have already started planning for next year. I think the pivot has been the big word for a lot of businesses and innovation, and for these camps, they're just trying to figure out how to do their fundraising. Along with care camps, the same thing, and getting more campgrounds involved and getting more of the outdoor industry involved in supporting the charity. It's definitely going to take a village this year to make sure that these camps happen, because we are actually over 50% down on the budget this year with the loss of those 3 big fundraisers. It's definitely been a crazy challenge. A lot of our campgrounds that normally do big fundraisers for care camps were not able to do those fundraisers this year because they involved group gatherings. And so, it's been a bit of a crazy year. So we're working on this auction, obviously, and live giving opportunity coming up in November, and then working towards finding new partners in the outdoors industry and RV industry for care camps.
I think it is important to know you guys have made quite a few inroads into the RV industry. I think Dometic and Forest River are some of the ones that come to mind. I think Thor maybe has done some stuff. So you guys are making some pretty positive inroads into that industry as well, too, right?
We're doing our very best and making connections there. Thor was our very first supporter in the RV industry. Forest River ended up coming on with a major commitment to care camps. It's just honestly been such a huge blessing. They're helping keep things alive for us right now. Dometic signed on for another year commitment with care camps as a major partner, which has been amazing. And we've just been blessed. Jason Lippert just made a private gift to us, which is really a wonderful thing. We're definitely starting to see more and more of the industry wrapping its arms around this cause, because quite honestly, the number of kids that need support is far exceeding the levels that we have right now. We're going to need more partners to come on board to make sure that all these kids have this chance.
And Cyndy, you know, the disaster relief part of what you do, it just seems like that's becoming more important. I mean, we get like the wildfires and the hurricane season this year has been, I don't know if incredible is the right word, but it's just so many hurricanes. I guess, are you guys continuing to work to build that up for, you know, the next year, or are you focused on education? What's the next year look like?
No, we work with building both funds, Ben. We don't prioritize necessarily scholarship over disaster. They are both who we are. So currently, again, if an individual donor asks for funds to be put in one or the other, we absolutely honor that. But otherwise, we just make decisions going forward on where the need will be. So, and it usually is rather equal in our thoughts.
So Cyndy, if you could have the ARVC Foundation go anywhere, let's say you had an unlimited budget for 2021, what would you do in your mind with the ARVC Foundation if you could craft it any way you want, grow it any way you want?
Oh, Brian. First, I'd want to help care camps. I believe that this is a hard stage to share, Jennifer. I want to just personally let you know that. I obviously am absolutely invested in the ARVC Foundation, but it's humbling to share the stage with you today, because what you're doing is absolutely crucial. So please know that. So having said that, Brian, I would love to build our grant program as far as to educational projects that are out there and opportunities for campgrounds and RV operators, owners, and employees. I would love to be able to stimulate our industry even more than it already is by making sure that they can be the best they can be. And that comes from constant evolution, talking with each other, networking opportunities, education on all forms, whether that's college education, seminar pieces, conference, what we do now, kind of no holes barred. Wherever someone could get that piece of information to make their campground the best it can be for their guests, that's who we would want to be. The other part, obviously, no hold barred, money no limit. Wouldn't we love to just send a check to every campground we know that is affected by a wildfire or a tornado or a tragedy, a personal tragedy in their family or an employee's family? Wouldn't it be wonderful to just find out, Paula, please write that check. So-and-so just had a hardship. Wouldn't that be wonderful if that is who ARVC Foundation could be? So kind of in a nutshell, we just want to help. We just want to help those people.
Yeah.
Our people.
How does the digital educational stuff change kind of the way the foundation looks at education? I mean, we've seen so many different platforms through this COVID crisis and ways to get education out to members. Does that change the way maybe the foundation looks to push that education in front of ARVC members?
Well, again, Ben, please remember that in October of 2019, we gave away content development and curriculum development. So we are not part of that piece right now. But as far as ARVC Foundation, there is a cost, whether you are in person in a class or virtually taking something. There is cost behind that. So we want to help people alleviate that financial burden. That's who we are right now.
I guess, Jennifer, on your end too, I guess, how are you going to use these digital tools moving forward just to stay connected with, campers, even when they can go back to camp and do all the things they normally do? Or are you looking at ways to keep some of this stuff in place to engage with the campers and their families?
That's a great question, Ben. I think every single camp director I've spoken to has said that this year has changed how they've looked at what camp means and what that looks like for them. So, initially it was a stopgap measure. It was just, hey, we're in a crisis. We have to figure out something to help these kids. Let's figure out a way to connect with them. But now what they're realizing is that this is an amazing way to connect. We've expanded our programming now across the nation. A lot of our camps are directly helping kids that are in the hospital, but normally we would not have been able to interface with at all. So these Camp in a Boxes were able to be sent to the hospitals, and the kids in the hospitals that normally would have been, quite honestly, just not able to participate in camp because they're stuck in the hospital. They're now able to participate in virtual camp. They're able to participate in Camp in a Box. And the camp directors are seeing this amazing impact on these kids. And like literally, we've gotten letters and videos from these families just saying, you have no idea what this did for my child. And the kids, and thank you for including us, because they're so sad. They're so, they're lonely. They're dealing with all this stuff. So I think undoubtedly we're going to see the online platforms continue because it enables these camps to interact with their kids year-round as opposed to just once a year. And that really is a huge blessing for the kids. And I will tell you, these camp directors and counselors, they're so passionate about what they do. When they get together, there's so many tears. There's also so much excitement for helping these kids. So they're looking for any way possible to keep these kids encouraged and moving forward in a healthy way.
It's so interesting that this, in some ways, has kind of enhanced our ability to connect. Mm-hmm. Even though it's digitally, we are, able to connect with people easily all over the globe at kind of any time. I appreciate the ingenuity that this kind of disaster has forced on us.
It's a good point. There are a lot of positives that come out of it. Just being able, we would see each other, once, twice a year before? So I think there are opportunities for us to connect more, to do things like this, to raise awareness more, to help people, connect, really, obviously. There's not really a better word for that than that, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you got, Ben? You got anything on your list still?
I don't have a huge list.
You at the end of every show, you're like, I don't have anything left on my list. So
I got a huge list here. Just the way, even with the auctions, with them being online this year, it's interesting to see how those work out and to see if there's any way to incorporate. I think ARVC has maybe done it in the past where they incorporated an online auction, but maybe there is a better way to incorporate one to where people, there's ways to raise money from people who maybe can't go to the in-person one, or maybe there's ways during the year where you can do some additional stuff. So, her fingers are crossed. It's just the way that the technology's we've been able to use it during COVID, and the way we've been able to just grow our familiarity with it and find new ways to do things. I think it's really exciting for the campground industry because I think looking for new ways to do things is important to keep the industry growing. So really good stuff. I don't know if I have any more set questions, Brian. You didn't come up with any weird bear scenario or anything. You know, like you normally
Because
do.
it was a serious call this week. Like, we're trying to help these foundations.
Well, I mean, you know, bears love to give. I don't know. But no, it's great. It's great that
Do any of these do we work with LSI, Yogi Bear?
yeah, Yogi Bear.
Harvick just partnered, right, with LSI to bring them to the show. So can we do anything with the foundation or care camps with LSI? Have there been any conversations yet? Should there be? Both of
I
you?
don't know. Maybe I don't know. So
LSI is a huge supporter of the ARVC Foundation.
Yes,
Currently.
Already.
Absolutely. Already there.
yeah.
Okay.
So what you're saying is I have some work to do.
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to give you more work, Jennifer, but you said you were in a little bit of a hole, so I'm just trying to come up with ideas for you here.
I love it. I want to hear some of the crazy bear questions, Bear, whatever these crazy questions are, because come on.
You want to?
I mean, you could have a bear run into the camps and scare kids or scare families into giving donations, right? Like, if you don't donate, a bear will visit your campground. I feel like that would work.
Fear is not typically the best motivator for generous giving.
Yeah.
Well, you give them a chance. This is the nuclear option, right? So you give them the first chance, you ask nicely, and then you kind of look at them again and you give the stern look because we don't put anything in the jar by the thing, right? Then you give them the literature and you drive around in the golf cart and ask them again. And the last option, if you don't give, like, listen, you're gonna give one way or another.
Whether you like it or not.
Right. Because these are good causes, so this is not optional. The problem is we're making it optional for people.
I'm shocked you don't work for one of these foundations yet, Brian. Shocked.
I've got plenty of time, so if anybody's hiring.
Yeah, he's your guy.
Karen told me you were very creative, Brian. This is a new level of creative.
I'm trying. I try every week, so. But yeah, I mean, so let's, if Ben doesn't have any more questions, so let's go through and just say KOA care camps. I did it again. Care camps. Jennifer, how can people donate to you first, and then go to Cyndy?
Well, I personally think this should be like a swear jar, where every time Brian says KOA, then he donates $1,000 to care camps. What do you say?
I love it.
Do I actually have to have that in my bank account, though? I don't know if I have that much money.
Well, it was an idea.
You're up to $5,000 or $6,000 by now, Brian.
Just kidding. We love, don't get me wrong, KOA is our biggest supporter. We love KOA, so that's not it at all.
It's just a casualty of me working for them for so many years. So I was there with Jim Rogers and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, and Toby's been a huge supporter of care camps. We're so grateful for her support. Okay, what was the question again?
How can our audience who's listening now donate to care camps?
It's super easy. You literally go to www.carecamps.org, and at the very top, there's donate in the US and donate Canadian. Two different buttons because we have our Canadian charity and our US charity. You literally click on that button to donate. For our campground owners, there's also a fundraising toolkit that we built to make it really easy if a campground wants to give. And wants to do a fundraiser for care camps, they can literally click on those fundraising toolkits and pick a fundraiser to do. And we've got the step-by-step instructions, the posters, volunteer sign-up sheets, everything they could need to do a fundraiser. And the last thing is Rollin' on TV and Forest River partnered together to do a raffle for a travel trailer. It is amazing. It's got the solar hookup with the lithium-ion batteries. It's got the amazing freshwater filtration system and every amenity you can want on this trailer. And the tickets are still on sale through the end of the month. Just go on Rollin' on TV, their website, and you can buy a raffle ticket for $20, and that will go to support care camps. So, and you might win a trailer.
Awesome. Cyndy, what do we got?
Thank you. Foundation has a landing page on arvic.org and the About. And from there, there's 5 key things: scholarship, disaster relief, the trustees, how to donate to our auction coming up in a few weeks, along with general donations that, again, that you can say specifically, I would like this to go to scholarship, or I'd like this to go to disaster relief. Wherever your heartstrings are pulled that day, we appreciate any and all donations. We will be good stewards of those funds and make sure that they go to people in need.
Good to hear.
Yeah. And I've put the websites for each of those organizations in the comment section of our Facebook page. So anybody can go there and click on one of the links and look at the information and give money if they feel like it.
And next week we're going to figure out this echo thing. I don't know if it's me or if it's like, I don't know how it could be me, but Ben, I hear it really bad when you talk. Like maybe it's your headphones that you have hooked up at the same time feeding back. I know there's a delay here with my speakers, so maybe that's, I don't know. But anyway, we'll figure that out for next week. What you get, you had to have at least one problem with less than 24 hours notice, right? So could have worked.
I mean, I think, we're just trying a new platform, trying to reach more people. So sometimes you have a few bugs, but it was great talking with Cyndy and Jennifer. I think we lost Jennifer. But it was great talking with Jennifer about the organization today, and I'm looking forward to being there next week. So,
and one last piece.
Wait,
Ben, I forgot to mention we are still reviewing applications for scholarships to OHCE 2020. That scholarship application is also on that arvic.org about foundation site. So young professionals, first-time attendees, full registrations, employees that are coming along. Scholarships are still available. We are still reviewing those applications. So you could come to OHCE on an ARVC Foundation scholarship.
Okay, good to hear.
And I put the scholarship information on the Facebook page as well, so that people can sign up for the scholarships. So I know.
If you guys want, Cyndy and Jennifer, send the donation info that you just said to Ben, and if I can talk Ben into it, we'll send an email to everybody who watched the show today with your information. So everybody who's registered, so they can have that information in front of them. They click the links and all that kind of stuff. So assuming Ben will do that, no pressure, Ben, at all.
Yeah, he'll have to talk me into it. So no, but it was great talking with you, Jennifer and Cyndy, and it was great seeing you, Kara, and it was okay seeing you, Brian. So everyone have a good rest of the week, and we look forward to seeing you again next Monday.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.